Question number 2, Grant Robertson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Finance. Does he stand by all his statements?
The Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the Minister of Finance, yes, in the context in which they were given.
Supplementary question, Grant Robertson.
Mr. Speaker, will he now revise his statement that there is no housing crisis in light of the Reserve Bank Governor saying today that, quote, house price inflation in Auckland and other regions is adding to financial stability concerns? Auckland house prices in particular are at very high levels.
The Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the Minister of Finance, no. The Reserve Bank Governor, and I wasn't at the particular event the member refers to this morning, Reserve Bank Governor references a lot of things at different times that may cause worry in terms of financial stability. That's his job. But in terms of house prices in Auckland, yes, they are high, but also interest rates are at historically low levels, which means mortgage payments for people are probably significantly less as they would have been in, say, 2008. And the challenge with that is, of course, we want to make sure that people are not banking on low interest rates forever.
Supplementary question, Grant Robertson.
Why will he not agree to a mass state-sponsored affordable housing building program such as Labour's Kiwi Build now that the Reserve Bank Governor has joined the chorus of people saying that additional housing supply is urgently needed?
Good idea, ain't it?
Well, Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the Minister of Finance, an additional housing supply is definitely happening. The member may not have seen at the beginning of the week Auckland residential construction topping $1 billion for the first time in the March 2016 quarter, growing 13% in that quarter alone. And I also note from the Reserve Bank's monetary policy statement that they are expecting that growth in supply to continue. I actually had a look back at the Labor Party's Kiwi Build proposal, and frankly, that wouldn't have done hardly anything, and already the private sector and the government working together are doing far more than that.
Order. Supplementary question, Grant Robertson.
What specific actions will he take to give first home buyers a fair go and address the dominance of investors in the Auckland housing market who, according to the Reserve Bank today, account for 46% of sales?
The Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the Minister of Finance, investors always play a significant part in the Auckland housing market, and in fact, investors do serve a useful purpose in adding investment into the housing market. So the member complains he wants more supply, but then wants to knock over people who are prepared to invest in more supply. We are doing things for first home buyers with the Minister of Building and Housing's Home Start program, which is being actually very significant investments in first home buyers.
Supplementary question, Grant Robertson. Order, Grant Robertson.
Is there a housing crisis in New Zealand?
The Honourable Stephen Joyce.
On behalf of the Minister of Finance, no. There is a building boom, there is a shortage in some areas, and this government is seeing the biggest and fastest growth in residential home building than we have seen in many, many years, after inheriting a situation where the house construction business was an absolute collapse in 2008.
Supplementary question, Grant Robertson.
Try an easy one, Stephen. Is there a housing crisis in Auckland?
The Honourable Stephen Joyce.
On behalf of the Minister of Finance, I'll give you an easy answer. No, there's not, but there is a challenge in providing sufficient housing, and this government has been working on supply, which the Labor Party has just woken up to. We've been working on first buyer home grants, which the Labor Party has just woken up to, and we've been working to encourage construction generally, and all the Labor Party can offer is a bunch of government-sponsored builders.
Mr. Speaker.
Order. Supplementary question, the Honourable Dr. Nick Smith.
Is the Minister aware that in 2004, when Auckland house prices went up by 26% in 1 year, half the rate that they are then, that the then Minister said it certainly was not a crisis?
Order. No, the question's out of order on 2 reasons. There is order, Mr Twyford. Mr Twyford, if you wish to stay for question time on Thursday, it's always good fun, so I'd advise you to cooperate. It's out of order for 2 reasons. It's marginal whether there was a government responsibility, and it's certainly a question that I deem was designed to attack the opposition. Question number 3, Stuart.